All right, Big Man, today is Thursday. It is May 15th. Welcome to the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports. So, today's episode, we were all locked and loaded to go. We had an A-list comedian, right? Like A-list guy.
A-list guy.
A-list
top
guy.
comedian.
Yeah, he was going to stop by. We were going to do a free swim with him, me, Chief, Danny, and him. Was really excited for it. Unfortunately, he had to cancel. He had a death in the family. And it's just not going to happen, at least not for the foreseeable future. So that kind of left us high and dry. This has happened before, and sometimes I'll just grab a bunch of people in the office, we'll do a free swim. But honestly, tailing off our conversation yesterday where we talked about like mass and the Pope and religion for like 20 minutes, I'm like, it might be a good opportunity to run back an old one, and that's the one with Father Matt Foley. The name that Chris Farley named the motivational speaker sketch after, that's his priest from when he was here in Chicago. Great guy, got to know him throughout the years, and that was the first time I met him when I interviewed him, but we've been in contact since. So I was like, let's run that back. Like the Dog Walk catalog, so deep, and I don't even think you could find this one audio-wise anywhere.
It would be difficult, yeah.
Right,
yeah,
like,
it might be gone.
Yeah, like these episodes just seem to vanish at some point. So since there's so many new listeners, and a lot of people were asking when I posted that last week about how I'm the only person to probably interview someone at a church, I was like, let's run this back. So that's what we're going to do today. We get into what's his favorite sacrament, what's his favorite apostle, does he get up for weddings, or is it a downer to go to a wedding, all of that kind of stuff. So we're going to run that today, and then obviously we'll be back on Tuesday with a great draft. We're joined by Stephen Shea. And Chaps, we draft our dream home. It was a lot of fun. And really, that's it. Without further ado, here it is, a episode with Father Matt Foley that aired in 2019, but we're re-airing it today. So hope you enjoy it. We are at St. James Parish in Arlington Heights. I am joined by Father Matt Foley. Father, how are you?
I'm having a great day. It's sunny outside, and it's over 30 degrees.
Yeah, it's nice outside. It really is. And your church is lovely, let me tell you. Like I told you earlier, it's like the Wynn in Vegas. I would eat off the floors here.
Well, we're very blessed. We just expanded our church and did some renovations, so we're very blessed to have a beautiful sanctuary.
So, Father, we'll start with this. When did you know you wanted to become a priest?
I was a junior in college, and I thought that God had received wrong directions, and I wasn't sure why God was calling me to be a priest, but God chose me. I did not choose God, and I was in a wonderful relationship with a wonderful young woman, looking at marriage and possibly going to law school, and I felt as if I did not answer that call, I would probably not be true to my God, so I looked at the seminary and said, let's give that a try.
What's a call like, though? Like, it's just something that you couldn't get out of the back of your head? It's just when you woke up, you went to bed with it? What was that like?
Yeah, it's a great question. It is, I think it is something that will not leave your soul. If it's of God, it stays with you. If it's not of God, it usually diminishes. And it was something that was with my soul for a while. And if I didn't answer it, I would not have been true to who I was or to who God was for me.
What was your biggest hesitation? Like, what do you think most people go for? Is it the marriage thing? Is it just not being able to, live freely? What do you think is everyone that holds people up?
Well, the first thing is you choose either priesthood or not priesthood. It's not priesthood or marriage, because there's plenty of people that never get married. But for me, it was choosing the priesthood and looking at that. Is it a sacrifice not to be married? Definitely. Is it a cross to bear at times? Yes, it is. But answering the call to priesthood was first and foremost. Then, not everybody's going to want to marry a guy like me, so probably good for me.
So I'm going to mess this up, but preschool, I know it's not called preschool. What's it like? Preschool, not preschool, what everyone goes to, priest school. Do you get me there?
Yes, it's called seminary.
Seminary.
Yeah.
And what's that like?
Seminary is where you train to be a priest. You do usually 4 years of postgraduate work on scripture, theology, service, and morals. And then after 4 years post-college, then you're ordained.
Now, are people bickering there? Like, is it like, I don't like how that guy hands out the host?
They get technical. They get into some people get scrupulous, but for the most part, it's a pretty jovial and a self-fulfilling place.
And do you get assigned a parish? How does that work?
Yeah. When you get ordained, you're assigned directly, usually by the cardinal, to a parish in your first assignment.
Okay. What was your first assignment?
My first assignment was St. Agatha in North Lawndale in an African-American community down right next to Douglas Park.
How was that?
I loved it. It was a great place to start. They taught me how to be a priest. It was a wonderful place of a lot of young people, a lot of things to do, a lot of creativity, and a wonderful spiritual renewal taking place in that church.
And then after that, you at some point joined the Army. Was there a couple of parishes in between that?
Yeah, in between that, I went to serve 6 years in Mexico as a diocesan missionary down in a place called Santiago Postal with indigenous farmers. Spent 6 years there. Then I came up to Chicago again, worked in the little village, La Villita, worked with a predominantly Spanish-speaking parish in the little village for 8 years, and then I went to the Army in 2008.
Okay, and then now you're here in the suburb of Chicago, practicing at a school again.
Right.
How does this transfer portal work? Like, do you put your name in? Do you throw your name in a hat? Like, how do you get from one place to another?
Well, to be quite honest, every time I've been sent to a parish, it's not been by my choice. It's been by direct appointment. So the cardinal has made a decision to send me where I'm needed, and that's what he's done.
Okay, so really if you wanted to go like, hey, I don't really like the suburbs. I want to go to the north side. I want to go to the south side. There's really no way for you to do that?
Well, I could probably voice some of my opinion, but I think you have to trust the wisdom of the gods that you've called to serve, and you go where you're needed, not necessarily about your needs, but the needs of the people.
Okay, interesting. So there's really, you go wherever you're told to because that's where you're needed from someone of a.
Well, that's how I personally approach it.
Okay,
yeah, right.
Other people don't though.
Well, there's individuals that would say that it's not a good fit for them, and for family reasons, for language reasons.
They don't like the rectory.
I have no idea about that, but there's probably some guys who are complaining about their living quarters.
Okay. What about what's a perfect mass time? That's a hot topic. People are like, I don't the long or whatever.
Perfect mass times. I think it's up to the individual. Some people like that 7 a.m., but for me, I like Sunday nights. I enjoy Sunday nights. It seems like you get through the day, and then it's good to pray and reflect upon your blessings.
What about like a length time though? Like
all time-wise?
Yes.
Well, I don't add anything to the mass, so I'm about a 50 to 55 minute guy.
What does that mean? You don't add anything?
Some guys get a little verbose, and they want to add stuff to the mass, and I say what I say, and I mean what I mean, and I sit down and let the mass continue.
50 to 55, that feels a little bit on the longer run. Is that right, Father, or no?
No, you're right on target in 50
to
55. You're in a sweet spot there.
And do they tell you that? Is length, like, is it a chapter in a book at the seminary up in Mundelein?
It's not a chapter. Some individuals are a lot holier than I am, and they'll spend more time at Mass. I tend to be efficient.
Okay, efficient. So the homily, is that kind of your call? Like what you want to say in there? Is that what you mean by proverse?
Yeah, the homily can sometimes be longer for certain individuals, but it depends upon the Sunday and the congregation you're speaking to. But it's, I think Fulton Sheen would say that, as I quote Bishop Bob Barron, you have a newspaper in one hand and the Bible in the other, and you try to integrate the message to the people that you're serving that day to bring to life the gospel and apply that to their daily lives. Interesting.
So one homily that you gave in the Army necessarily maybe wouldn't apply to kids in a suburban grammar school in Chicago.
Correct. Okay. You have to know your population. I mean, I have Little Village, North Lawndale, the Army, Arlington Heights. You have to know your population, who you're preaching to.
That kind of mixes it up a little bit.
It does.
Right? It's like Jonah Hill doing a comedy versus doing a drama.
It's something along that line. Okay. Jonah and I are not best friends, right? You'd have to ask him.
Okay. How much is a bag of Host? What are those going for?
You know, how much do Host cost? I have really no idea. I know they're not really costly, but no. I could send you a free box if you'd like. Yeah,
but do they have to be, you got to bless them first or no?
Yeah, they're made specially just from flour and water, and that's it.
Would that count though? If you sent me a bag through the mail, if you like bless the computer screen, would that count?
That would not count.
No,
it
needs to be in present.
It has to be consecrated, and you have to be present, and you deserve to go to church.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I know. And the wine, how about the wine? Do you get tired of the wine? Do you mix it up? You've been drinking it for, so long every Sunday.
The wine is, again, a consecrated wine that is produced, and it's a pretty simple table wine, I suspect.
Okay. So you don't really see it beforehand?
No, it's the same shipments that we've gotten for years.
Who does that order form? Is it like the religious ed teacher? Or?
No, we order it from our seminary. I'm sorry, not our seminary, but our religious religious people set the orders up.
Okay. How about the uniform? Now the collar is that the correct name for the?
Yeah, the collar.
The collar. How many do you have of those?
I probably have 10 shirts and 10 pants.
Okay. And does that come from the Arch or does that come from?
No, we buy it ourselves.
Okay.
We buy it ourselves, and it's great. I know what to wear every day.
Yeah, that's nice. See, people
and I look thinner in black.
That's good too. Yes, people think like, oh, I wouldn't like. I went to a Catholic grammar school and high school. People all the time in college were like, "How did you do a uniform?" I was like, "I loved it." You don't got to waste time looking through every drawer looking for the right shirt or the right. You're just ready to go.
Exactly.
What about? I don't want to mispronounce either. The robe or the gown that you wear to mass.
Well, the chasuble and the alb. Now that's, there's different colors for different seasons, but for the most part, that's something that is also here at the parish. They supply that.
And now, do you wash it? Who washes this?
There are times the albs and the chasubles need to be dry cleaned.
Okay.
Those are, a lot more finer vestments.
Do you take that there?
No, we usually have somebody that takes them out.
Okay, so there's someone's job is to take care of that.
We have volunteers that offer to do those things.
Interesting. What do you think about the people who cut out at halftime, as they say it? People who leave after communion.
Well, I can only suspect that they may have something else that they have to get to, or there might be something going on. I hope that they would not leave early, and I hope they get here on time.
So you don't like the late people, huh?
I just think that if it's important, you're going to be there on time.
Yeah. Is it distracting, though, when you see someone walking up? It's like, here's Frank, every time.
It can be distracting, but usually people leave from exits in the rear, so it doesn't really bother me that much. And God has an eye on all of us and knows what's in our hearts, so I'm not concerned about judging them. I think God will know what's going on. So
I had a mailman on the show before.
Okay.
And we talked about the dogs on his route. Is there one dog on the route who bothers you? How many dogs are, after you every day? Do you feel that way sometimes with the children who are crying and acting out?
No, I'll tell you. I've buried many children. In the missions in Mexico, a lot of babies died. And I can tell you, I fought for every one of those children. I was bringing a child one day in our pickup truck to the state capitol hospital. And every time that child cried in the back seat, I knew that child was alive. And no child crying ever bothers me because they're alive. And it reminds me of those times when I couldn't save a child. And I'd long to hear that baby cry. So it never bothers me one bit.
Wow. So that's just, through the priesthood, that's something that really
correct
kind of stuck with you, huh?
Right.
Wow, it's pretty powerful, Father. Mm-hmm. And as far as altar serving goes, how do you feel when the kids getting the stuff prepared? Is there like you see Benjamin? He's like, oh, Benjamin, he always falls asleep when it's time to ring the bells.
Well, I was a terrible altar server, so I have a lot of. I was a public school kid, so I was not trained as well as probably some of the private school kids. So I have a lot of leeway. I'm just happy that they're there, and Benjamin or Susie or whoever they are, they do a great job.
They do, but there are terrible altar servers because you just called yourself one.
I was a terrible altar server. They're much better than I am.
What does a terrible altar server do, though?
Well, I didn't know when to stop pouring the water, and I wasn't good on the bells, so I was not well versed.
Okay, and is there a certain thing? The creasters, the people that come on Christmas and Easter, do you guys call them that, or is it just kind of like a societal thing?
They don't. That doesn't bother me. I'm just happy they're coming to praise God, and I'm just glad that they're there, and it's an opportunity to evangelize them and bring them back next Sunday. So I'm just pleased if anybody shows up. I'm pleased to pray with them.
But that bothers people. Right?
It bothers some people. It doesn't bother me.
Okay, then let me ask you this. Let me reroute this here.
Okay.
Do you get mad when people are only rooting for the Bears when they make the playoffs?
Do I?
Are you a Bears fan?
No, I'm not a Bears fan. It doesn't affect me.
What fan are you?
I just want the Bears to win because my parishioners are Bears fans, and I'm tired of their suffering and their sorrow and their lamentations.
You're a Wisconsin guy, though, so you're a Packer fan, I take it?
I belong to the green and gold.
Okay. You know where I'm going here, Father? The bandwagon jump. Do you like those, the bandwagoners?
I'm just glad people are praising God. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad the Bears win because I have to deal with sad fans if they're not here.
Would you be able to power rank the Sacraments?
In terms of sacraments, I think, they're all equally important upon where you are in your life. The Eucharist is a source and summit of our life. You can receive that daily if that need be. There's healing sacraments like the sacrament of anointing the sick, the sacrament of confession and reconciliation. There are people that need that at a certain time. Ordination and marriage are two great sacraments of service for the benefit of others. And I very much appreciate those sacraments. And then confirmation and communion are the opportunities to bolster and strengthen yourself. So I think about they're important where you are in your life. Okay. Today I celebrated the sacrament anointing of the sick of a guy who was going in for surgery. It was powerful for him, and it was what he needed at that time.
That's a tough one, though. I would assume that would be like not as high on the list, right? And well, I know they're hard to.
Yeah, it depends upon the station of your life. Yeah. That's where you are in your present condition.
Who's your favorite apostle?
My favorite apostle is Peter.
What's Peter got?
Well, Peter was passionate. He was not afraid to make mistakes. He was able to be profoundly convicted to Christ, and yet at the same time be completely off target. He denied Christ 3 times. But yet still was welcomed back and was able to die for the faith. So I really like his passion.
Okay, Peter, that's a good. I mean, I know obviously most of these things, but that's cool to hear a priest say why he's the favorite. Mm-hmm. Reconciliation. What's a harsh? I don't want to say punishment, but a harsh. You send someone back. Is it 50 Our Fathers, 100? 150? What's like, hey, kid.
In terms of penance, I don't like to talk too much about penance, but what I usually try to do is have the person participate in 2 things. One, in action. So if they've done something that needs to be some redemption, I have them do an action, and then I also have them do some prayers to reflect upon what's transpired so they can change. But it's usually twofold for me.
Okay. And do you like doing weddings on Saturdays, or is it like, oh man, like hi?
Weddings are exciting. Weddings are exciting. To see 2 people taking this incredible leap of faith that they're going to be in love with each other, becoming one before God, is powerful. It brings a tear to my eye. It's profoundly a leap of faith. And in this day and age, it's radical because most people don't want to do that. They don't want to commit themselves to each other with God. And I think it's incredibly radical and profound. And
so 52 Saturdays in a year, how many are you doing weddings on?
I'll do anywhere from 30 to 40 weddings a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you value those Saturdays. I know you like weddings, but sometimes don't you like maybe Wisconsin's on,
It cuts into my Saturday afternoon football. There's no doubt about it.
Okay.
It does hurt my sport watching events.
Mm-hmm. I got you.
That's why I like Friday afternoon weddings too.
Oh, those are nice. Yeah.
Those are sweet.
People don't like attending those, Father. People are like, Friday, I got to take half a day off work. But it's the priests are the ones reaping the benefits on those.
Well, I just think if it's important, you're going to be there.
Yeah. No, you're right.
How many people are working on Friday afternoons?
Working hard or like physically being there? Not many. Yeah, exactly. A lot of people are just physically being there.
You're right.
That's just a fact. Do you prefer weddings over like bingo night?
Oh, yeah. We don't have bingo.
There's no bingo?
No bingo.
What's it like a random event? The Queen of Hearts is big now.
Yeah, we don't do any of that.
None of that?
No.
What's like a random off event that you guys do?
Well, we might have a comedy night, and we would have an event where we have a jubilation where we do a gala for fundraising for special events and things like that. Those would be some of the events.
Of all the church songs, what's your favorite? And what do you think is the best chance it could really reach the mainstream? Like what could, be a big time hit?
I really don't have a favorite song.
No?
I don't. I like some of the Matt Maher new songs. I guess Lord, I Need You would be a song that I think would be decent. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy if people are all singing.
Okay. Yeah. I Raise You Up on Eagle's Wings.
That's done its time.
You don't like that one, or
well,
you think
it's big on funerals, and
it's sad.
Sad memories. Yeah,
yeah, it is. It's a good one though. But some of the So excuse me, some of the songs are so good.
Yeah,
Like they really are good.
they are good.
And but they're very emotional though, I feel.
Yeah, they tug at your heartstrings.
Yeah, they do. And I know, like, I feel even weird asking, but I know everyone probably asks you as a normal kind of civilian question is, but like, is it the exorcisms really happen?
I believe they do. I've never been involved. I'm not qualified, but I guess they do. And I've read about them, and I've heard about them, but I've never participated in them.
No, but was it like something where there's like one priest in the whole city is able to do that, or?
I think each diocese has a person designated for exorcisms.
Interesting.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know, I just picture someone being at, like you said, St. Mary's Seminary and getting tapped in the shoulder and being like, hey, you're the exorcist guy.
Yeah, I think they have to be a priest for quite a while before they get tapped.
That happens?
Correct.
Before they get tapped.
Right.
I like that. You ever seen the movie Rocky?
I have.
You like, one of my favorite scenes is when he's running past the church. Hey, yo, fight, throw down a couple blessings. I got a big fight, and the priest bless him through the window.
Correct.
Anything like that?
Anything like that? Do I do any of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's times that people ask for a blessing before they, our teams will come to mass and ask for a blessing before they go out and play. We'll have Chicago marathoners will come to mass and we'll give them a special blessing before they run the Chicago marathon. Yeah, definitely.
And obviously, people don't know at this point, your name is, it's familiarized across pop culture, and you are the motivation for one of the greatest SNL sketches of all time. I just got to ask you, like, how awesome was Chris Farley?
Chris is awesome. He would love this.
Yeah.
Chris would love being interviewed in a church because he spent a lot of time in churches. He went to daily mass. Every time I saw him when I was ordained, I would have to hear his confession. We'd always go to mass together. He was a very devout Catholic.
And so it is true. Like, he went every day or every Sunday?
Oh, he'd go every day if he could.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He'd go every day, and confession was a regular situation also.
And he went closer to like Second City down there, I believe he had a church?
Second City, would go to masses there, but even when I'd see him out at Saturday Night Live, we would go to masses over. He'd know 5 different mass schedules in Manhattan, Midtown Manhattan. He was very big on going to mass.
How many times have you been to SNL?
Oh, I probably go out there once or twice a season when he was on. So probably, maybe 7 to 10 times.
And how cool is that?
That was really cool. It's amazing to see it, the stage set up and the live action, meet all the individuals and watch them work through the week to develop the program. And it was fascinating meeting all those people and meeting the stars and hanging out with Chris. It was really cool.
And I know you've told the story a million times by now, but would you mind, just for our listeners, can you tell how the story came to be? How did, the motivational speaker take on your name?
Okay, so Chris was a freshman at Marquette. I was a sophomore. I was a rugby president, and Chris loved to make fun of people of authority. So I was the president, so I'd have to give speeches, and he would have some fun with that when we were playing the game. He moved to Second City on Wells Street, and I was a newly ordained guy in North Allendale at St. Agatha, and I'd come and see his show. He was doing that skit, and if you were in the audience and he knew you, he would use your name. Here's Bob Smith, I'm a motivational speaker. And of course, you'd make fun of the individual that was sitting out there that he knew. I was at the show one night, and he came out and said, my name is Matt Foley, and I'm a motivational speaker. And I kind of slunched down in my chair and felt like a bit of a tool, but he was talking about me like that. And then we went out after that, and he said, I'm never going to change the name. I'm never going to change. It's going to be that Matt Foley every time. So then he carried that out to Saturday Night Live and called me up one night and said, hey, you're going to be on. Make sure you watch. And there I was coming out of the basement. Motivational speaker.
What was that like the next day at mass? What was everyone like?
Well, nobody had a clue because nobody stayed up that late to watch the show. I did because it was my buddy on TV, but over the span of time, it became pretty well known that I was that guy.
And you guys met in college, right?
Yeah, we met in college. She was a freshman playing rugby.
And how old? You're a year older than her?
Year older, yeah.
Nice. And then you guys were just buddies ever since?
We were buddies. We became much closer as when I got ordained. Chris got sober, and I was very much. I've never. I don't drink or smoke or do drugs myself. So it was we got closer because I was able to help him with some of those difficulties he had with addictions.
Yeah. Is there, I mean, are you surprised now? I mean, it's 22 years, after he's passed away. Are you surprised that he's still, like, everyone still loves him and everyone still talks about him?
The great thing about Chris is he first of all, he was genuine, and people saw that. There was a tenderness in his heart that loved. He always knew the person. He was always pulling for the underdog. So people loved that about him. And the second thing about him was that he had the ability to do things that we wanted to do, but never had the guts to do. So he would fall down in front of somebody, or drop his shorts in front of somebody, or do those things. It's like, that would be really funny to do that, but I'll never do that. But Chris would do that. So that's what made him incredibly funny. He was just able to do the things that we would like to do, but Chris did it.
Yeah, he never held back the punches.
No,
to speak.
He never did.
And did you know, like, when you guys were at Marquette, did you know he'd be so big?
We had no idea, but he was some of the same skits he did at Marquette, same skits he did in movies and on TV. So he had a charisma you couldn't possibly deny or not pay attention to. He came into a room, and Chris was one of those guys that said, that guy, I'm going to keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
And they did.
He was just, you always knew him. He walked in and lit up a room kind of guy.
He did. Just because he loved to make people laugh. That was his gift.
Which of his movies do you enjoy the most?
I suspect Tommy Boy, because it's probably more somewhat biography of him of sorts.
Did you see the Sandler song that he released?
Oh,
last
yeah.
year?
Yeah, it was
What did
great.
you think? It was pretty good, right?
Oh, it was powerful. It was powerful. It was great. And he nailed it, He, would drink all night and then get up in the morning and go to mass.
Yeah, it was a tearjerker though, man.
It was
honestly just, but it was a great song though.
It was great.
Yeah. Father, thanks for doing this. Is there anything I kind of didn't get to here? Anything you wanted to talk about?
No, I think you covered pretty much everything.
Cover it all. Is this okay, Father? I was just kind of,
You're okay.
All
I think I'll still be in all right standing. They won't kick me out yet.
All right. Thank you very much, Father Matt Foley. I really appreciate you doing this.
You bet. My
Nice.
pleasure.
All right. That's it for today, everybody. We'll catch you next time.